Tuskegee Institute of EBT Education is Tuskegee University, which I actually hold in great esteem because it's one of the OG black colleges, has put out this. Now, when I walk around and say, yo, stop wearing do-rags and bonnets all the time, you say, I hate being black. What do you say to the Tuskegee Institute of EBT members now? Because they came out and they said, we're tired of it, right? We're tired of you showing up in your slippers. We're tired of you showing up in bonnets. We're tired of showing up in do-rags. We're tired of you showing up like, well, you're not professional. You're going to college to be professionals, yet you enter the workforce with zero skills, zero aptitude, zero ability. They're trying to change things. Now, do they hate black people like you claim I hate black people? Because they just said out loud what I've been saying for years. Stop wearing bonnets in public. You look like trash. Skedaddle.
All right, y'all. Tuskegee's new president has updated the university manual, and that includes a dress code. President Dr. Mark A. Brown sent out a welcome letter to students outlining the new policy and behavioral standards for the academic school year. Dear Tuskegee University students, we're excited to welcome you to Tuskegee University next month as you are arriving at an extraordinary time in the university's history. Tuskegee has entered its Renaissance era of transformation and renewal, and we are expecting a 32-year new student enrollment high in August. Tuskegee is focused on challenging you academically with resources to ensure graduation while preparing you for the workplace. You're required to find internships in their area of interest, identify certifications to enhance professional skills, and develop a resume. There are more than 30 certifications you can get at Tuskegee at no additional cost. You must also visit the University Career Center in Kinney Hall. It is there where you'll be able to connect with potential employers, internships, and learn more about career opportunities long before your senior year. You cannot wait until you are a senior to focus on your career options. The university has developed a new policy for student attire on campus, classroom attendance, and cell phone use in classrooms. Tuskegee students now have a dress code for public and professional places. The student handbook requires students to arrive on campus with a business suit and proper shoes for a business meeting. Students are prohibited from wearing revealing clothing in class, to the cafeteria, or in official settings like convocation. They're also not able to wear bedroom shoes, bonnets, or do-rags to class or the cafeteria. Faculty will be empowered to respond to students who are inappropriately dressed based on these guidelines. Faculty will also be able to respond to a different classroom challenge, cell phones. Unless directed by the professor, students are no longer allowed to use their cell phones while in class. They should be turned off to eliminate any distraction from the instructor's lesson. We are attaching the attendance policy to minimize any confusion around attendance. Students are required to go to class. That is the heart of all academic success, and we track attendance. The goal here is not meant to restrict you from enjoying the Tuskegee experience, but to prepare you with a solid foundation for the workforce you will enter once you leave Tuskegee. Employers are less forgiving, and too often presentation may overrule stellar preparation. Tuskegee University continues to prepare the best and brightest for a lifetime of success. With these changes, we want to ensure every student is as prepared as they can be. I look forward to seeing you in August. We reached out to Tuskegee University to have the president or representative on, but they were unavailable. We definitely want to have them on very soon. Now this, of course, as usual, when you factor in Threads, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook and everything else, explodes into a social media conversation. Now it's about respectability politics. It's about being anti-black. Conscious Lee said Tuskegee passed a horrible policy. As somebody with a master's in adult higher education, policing how students show up to class will never lead to higher class attendance and does not lead to higher graduation rates. Okay, which means dress for success is a claim based in fallacy. Here's another post from No Sleep No. Dress for success has the same underlying tone as massa coming to be. It just sounds coonish. Like, why are you associating success with looks? Kingpin 202. What about yarmulkes, kufis, and the hijab?
There is more. You know it's bad when Roland Martin is not caping for this. The fact that you have people that have degrees of higher education, and they're saying like, hey, you just let them be however it is that they want to be.
So the last tweet up there is one that got my attention because they were talking about the hijab and all those other things, these religious head coverings that they have. I didn't think a bonnet and a do-rag were considered religious garments. But the problem with this is that they spent more time in that policy that Roland Martin read on cell phones than they did on do-rags and bonnets. They elaborated on cell phones, which is clearly a bigger issue. But when the only question I have for someone who doesn't like this is, can you wear these things in most office buildings? For individuals who are going to college to get a 4-year degree, most of those jobs are going to funnel you towards some type of office environment for at least the majority of your day, whether that's going to be social work, business administration, finance, marketing. Show me any of the, call it top 100 companies in the United States of America that will allow you to walk in there with a bonnet, a do-rag, your house slippers, or anything in between. That's what they mean about dressing for success. College is supposed to be, to prepare you for higher quality, I guess you could say, even though it doesn't happen anymore, of job or career that you can have. So it's train as you fight. If you wouldn't dress this way at a workplace, don't dress this way in an indoctrination center. This is why we have individuals showing up to interviews with their parents, dressed inappropriately and demanding something, because you focused more on, I'm going to be me. I'm going to do what I want to do. You must accept me the way that I am, the way I want to dress, the way I want to talk. And if you don't, you're the problem. And that's a sickness. It's a mental malady that's starting to allow young individuals to truthfully believe this. And then they get upset because you're not going to get the job. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're not going to get the job. If you showed up to an interview and you had a do-rag, a bonnet, or house slippers, I'm not even sitting down with you. You showed me already that you were not taking this seriously, and I can't have you this environment, whether you like it or not. This is for everybody who's upset about this. The reality of it is you have to work with other individuals in this country. And if you can't do that and you can't acquiesce to the business environment you're in, go start your own business, make your own rules, and you can do it however you want to. But so long as you're not doing that, you have got to submit to someone else's rules at their workplace, because that's their organization. It's not yours. It's a job for you.
I don't think people understand. Do you guys realize that the tuition is almost $40,000 a year to go to this university? 40 grand a year.
To wear a do-rag in class.
To wear a do-rag in class and bonnets. And people are upset about this. So I appreciate the president saying, hey, we're trying to prepare you for the next step. These are the people indoctrinating your children.
This is about to be an unpopular opinion, but the conversation about Tuskegee's dress code isn't actually about bonnets and do-rags. It's about anti-Blackness, respectability politics, and one question I don't think anybody is asking right now. Why don't most PWIs have these same kinds of dress codes? Let's start there. Some people support the policy because they think it teaches professionalism. Others see something deeper, like myself, because when the clothing that is being discussed is bonnets and do-rags, items that are specifically connected to Black hair care, it no longer feels culturally neutral. And here's what history teaches us. Black people have never been discriminated against because of what we wore. Black people in their Sunday best were denied civil rights. Black professionals in tailored suits still experience racism today. Changing our clothes has never ended racism or anti-Blackness. This is where the respectability politics enters the chat. Respectability politics says if we just present ourselves the right way, we'll be treated better. But history tells us that is only partly true. I absolutely believe that we should be teaching Black children and young adults how to navigate professional spaces. The question is, are we teaching them how to code switch when necessary, or are we teaching them that parts of Black culture are inherently unprofessional? Those are two totally different lessons. And here's the part that I absolutely cannot ignore. Tuskegee says that this policy is about workforce development. All right, then why don't most PWIs have campus-wide dress codes banning bonnets, pajamas, slippers, do-rags? And most PWIs, the students are treated like adults. Dress expectations usually exist for clinical programs, internships, presentations, or formal events, not everyday campus life. So if the goal is workforce preparation, why is it only enforced at HBCUs and not at PWIs? That's the conversation I think we should be happening.
She keeps mentioning PWI. I want to say that's the reason why Roland don't have no problem with this. If it was a PWI, Roland would have a problem with it. He's only not saying anything because it's a black college.
I'm not everybody else's mama. I'm your mama. I'm talking to you right now. So that is exactly the vibe that Tuskegee was giving. I am talking about the students that are here. Why you keep telling me about PWIs? PWIs, they're not my students. I'm talking to the students on my campus. So stop the foolishness.
I'm curious where y'all land on this, though. Can the HBCU uphold these types of professional standards without reinforcing respectability politics? Or do you think that dress codes are necessary preparation for the real world? Let's talk about it. Okay, bye.
Tuskegee University banned bonnets, pajamas, do-rags, slippers for the black students to wear on their majority black campus.
They didn't say black students. They said students.
I'm gonna say they never once said that, but okay.
Never once said black students. He said students. This is what we expect of you. And to be honest with you, if you don't like it, go somewhere else.
And it's funny, right? Because I went to a private HBCU and I wore bonnets, slippers, pajama pants to class, to the food hall, around campus almost every other day. And that never stopped me from getting all A's in my last semester. It didn't stop me from ending my college career with a 3.6 GPA with Phi Beta Kappa honors, magna cum laude honors, Alpha Kappa Delta honors. You feel me? I got some of the highest academic honors you can get in undergrad while wearing the bonnet, with the pajama pants, with the slippers, simultaneously. Because a bonnet, slippers, and pajama pants.
What? He's that smart and he can't see the reason why they need to stop this.
Well, I mean, so let's hit it out the park. You're on the internet with no shirt on.
And your hair looking like it
whatever
looks.
a septum ring going on in your nose.
What did his education do for him?
Yeah,
exactly. and displaying a tattoo looking like Starburst.
Well, he's telling on himself, right? Liberals generally believe that because you have a degree, because you have grades, that is the end all be all indicator of your intelligence.
Well, the reason they believe that, and this is what I wanted to say about that teacher, this whole respectability politics is the same thing that the Smithsonian came out with, things like being on time, taking your grades seriously is white supremacy. That's really what they're saying, because anytime they feel forced, and this is not just blacks, this is liberals in general, they are against any level of standard, because what standards do is standards draw a line in the sand against equity, because everyone's not equal and everyone can't meet it. And as soon as you start to differentiate between people, the idea that everybody's the same and therefore one government and one policy prescription is right for everyone, which fits neatly into their Marxist ideology, begins to fall apart, because everyone is not the same. And it is the introduction and the adherence to standards that begins to separate people. That's why they hate merit. They hate anything that can differentiate people, and which is why they love poverty and squalor, because poverty and squalor is available equally for everyone in the most equitable ways.
It is black bourgeoisie, respectability politics, colonial thinking. A bonnet is just a satin cloth. Same with a do-rag. Slippers, pajama pants, they're just articles of clothing. They have no determinant on what you're gonna do when you get out into the social world. It has no determinant on your success level. That's so stupid. But again, we're dealing with black bourgeoisie, respectability thinking, colonial thinking here. So of course it's gonna be stupid. And mind you, I went to Morehouse College, and no shade, Morehouse College is way more well regarded than Tuskegee University. No shade. How am I able to find success while wearing a bonnet?
What actually defines success in America? Is it your good grades, or how much money you're able to earn to provide for your family?
They think, honestly, it's the grades. And let me tell you why they think that. These are the same people who call Elon Musk stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is why they don't think that $1 trillion now in any way makes him any different than them. In fact, they think they're smarter than him.
The richest man in the world.
They do. They believe in the institutions. And since they have the past from the institutions, they do not believe in outcomes. They consider themselves part of the liberal elite. That's who the liberal elite are. They don't have to have these outcomes. What they have to have is sanctioned by institution.
Not my typical content, but let's talk about the Tuskegee dress code they are trying to enforce. From someone who has a college degree, I've worn many of suits over my career, and now I get paid to speak in my bonnet. Wear what you want to wear because they're going to judge you anyway. Here's the thing. I would rather the babies show up, because a lot of us don't make it to college. A lot of us cannot afford college. A lot of us, it's not accessible to us. I would rather the babies show up in the bonnets in the...
These aren't babies. These are adults.
No, they are the
Grown
These
adults.
are
Yeah,
18 plus.
Can't show up without a bonnet. Don't come.
This is
Don't come.
ridiculous.
do-rags, then not show up at all. Now, am I an advocate for wearing pajamas, bonnets, do-rags, and things like that in the street every single day as part of your normal wardrobe? Absolutely not. I think we need to get back into getting dressed and things
Why
like
not?
that. You know, I love when the girlies get dressed up and dolled up and things like that. But we are talking to children, all right? I'm coming from a place of privilege. I have adult money. I can afford to get my hair done as often as I like. I can slick back my edges when my hair isn't done. I can afford to wear the clothes that I want to wear. And I have the, you know, I get the final say. Most of these kids are still very dependent on their parents to give them money for the extras because they're already paying for their college education.
Wow.
And or they're having to find a job near campus so that way they can support themselves and pay for maintenance and things like that. It is tough. Another thing that we're not discussing is the
let it
price
be
of
tough.
everything has gone up over the last few years so much. Maintenance has gone up. We are talking about children who are in the middle of a city that they're not from, if they're out of towners, coming to a city where they have to now, one, be able to afford an appointment, a standing appointment. They have to have transportation to get there, to get said hair done or cut or what have you. On top of having to spend $25,000 a year in tuition. That tuition has jumped up since COVID. If I'm paying $100,000 for my education, how dare you police what I have on? Quick story. I attended Baruch College in New York City back in the 2010s. And I remember going to school fly because at the time I was full-time and then I dropped down to part-time because I found an amazing finance job on Park Avenue and they were paying me a shit ton of money. And at the time I used to wear Louboutins to school and to work. I mean, I was dressed to the nines. I got in an elevator one day going to work and a coworker stopped and asked me, "How are you able to afford to wear those shoes?" And someone came to my rescue and was just like, "You don't ask someone that. Why would you ask her that? Like, that's a weird question to ask a woman." And they were right. They're going to judge you anyway. A little grace goes a very long way.
This is what I'm going to say. These are selfish people. When I talk about crabs in a bucket, this is what I mean by crabs in a bucket, because you've made it out. And instead of you put the extending the hand back and helping people out, you are trying to destroy them. You're trying to send them into their demise by sitting here and lying to them and telling them that this is about respectability policy and this is anti-Blackness policy. This is not about anti-Blackness or respectability. This is about loving yourself, respecting yourself. That's what this is all about. These people are talking about anti-Blackness, colonialism, all of this foolishness, when this is all about how you present yourself to the world, how you want to be seen in this world. This woman just sat here and said, "I get paid to speak in bonnets," but you were in corporate America. You weren't walking around in your bonnets. You have gotten to the point that you can sit down and talk in a bonnet, but why would you even want to? Why would you even want to present yourself like that? Why would you want to present yourself like you're a piece of trash? Because that's what you look like.
I'm calling cap. She ain't getting paid to speak in no bonnets, yo.
But she want to claim that, so she want to go with that. But the thing is, when she sat down there and say, "These babies," so to sit down here and say they don't have the money, and y'all are sitting down here and have the audacity to argue about it. The fact that teacher can't walk into her school looking anyhow, but she has audacity to tell them that they shouldn't police them. Ma'am, I want to see you walk into school, in your school, in a bonnet and slippers. They will throw you out, because I know how schools are when it comes to
how you're supposed to be dressed. You are sitting here setting these children up for failure.
There's something she kept saying over and over again and irked me to my core. So those children that you're talking about can legally get married. They can get a tattoo. They can make their own healthcare choices. They can get a lottery ticket. They can get their own house, or they can rent. They can get a credit cards. They can open up a bank account. They can change their name, join the military, do jury service, sign a contract, and they have the same voting power that you do. So which one is it? Are they children and we should not give them all of that? Or are they adults and maybe the bonnets, maybe the do-rags are not appropriate, but you can't have it both ways.
Well, Tuskegee Institute of EBT Education at Tuskegee University, which I actually hold a great esteem because it's one of the OG black colleges, has put out this. Now, when I walk around and say, yo, stop wearing do-rags and bonnets all the time, you say I hate being black. What do you say to the Tuskegee?
We about to fact check this. First, if you're messing with me, make sure you hit that follow button. This month they're celebrating Disability Pride Month. Let's get it. What are you talking about? First, what Tuskegee University is doing is not only anti-black, it doesn't make any sense. First, bonnets were created as protective headwear to protect black people's hair. Bonnets are widely used in the black community not only to cover bad hair days, but to also cover certain hairstyles. Not to mention, there's not enough evidence to prove that what you wear will affect your performance. In fact, one study shows that uniform did little to help students improve their grade. But a 2005 study shows that students that wore clothes for comfortability rather than social status actually performed better. Instead of Tuskegee University policing of what people are wearing, they should be focused on fostering a comfortable learning environment for their students.
What are you wearing?
I can't stand the look of bonnets and pajamas in public. Let's just get that part out of the way. But I'm 55 and I understand I may not get it. Also, this argument is so much bigger than anyone's opinion of fashion. This isn't even a new conflict. I swear it's Booker T. Washington versus W.E.B. Du Bois showing back up over a do-rag and a blazer. But before we get into that, let's kill two arguments that I keep hearing.
Before you get too excited, Minister
love
Denzel,
that.
she is on the side of W.E.B. Du Bois. I'm just putting it out
really?
there. Most liberals are.
That to me are ridiculous. People keep saying I'm paying tuition, so I should be able to wear what I want to. No, you paid for an education, not a dress code exemption. A restaurant doesn't let you walk in wearing a bikini just because you're paying for a meal. Second, people are saying that white institutions don't police our heads in fashion like HBCUs do. So, white institutions aren't thinking about how to prepare black children to thrive in a white racist society. Don't mistake their ambivalence towards our issues for liberation. Now back to the Booker T. Washington versus W.E.B. Du Bois roots of this whole debate. Side one is Washington's vision. Cash down your bucket where you are, master the trade and the professionalism, and beat the existing game from the inside. That's the case for the dress code. And it's personal for me because I went to Tuskegee because my mama sent me there to prepare me to get a job, honey. And yeah, is that selling out for the white way of doing things? Absolutely. But see, I like to eat. I like to pay my bills. I'm a dreamer and an activist, but I'm also a realist. Side two is Du Bois' vision, and his questions still land. Who decided what professionalism looks like? Was it us or something handed down from rooms we weren't allowed in? This is our university, so why are we still calibrating to somebody else's comfort? Du Bois believed Washington's approach asked too much, too slowly, and trained us to earn acceptance instead of demanding it. Du Bois's way would have had us building our own standards from the jump, walking into every room exactly as we are, and forcing that room to make space for us, instead of shrinking ourselves down to fit through somebody else's door.
That goes to show you how ignorant these people are.
Yes.
Because Booker T. Washington was actually telling folks, hey, learn a trade, build a business, and gain acceptance through commerce and building up your communities. W.E.B. Du Bois' plan was to go into these institutions and beg and hope that these people just accept you for the sake of accepting you. It's ridiculous.
Wise, you know, she left that out though. She had to make sure she tailored it to make it seem less than what it was.
Absolutely. Booker T. Washington, if you've read his book, Up From Slavery, which is phenomenal, he speaks on building businesses, learning the skills and trades or enhancing upon the skills and trades that, you know, the recently freed slaves had. They had those skills already. So let's build on it, build businesses around it, buy land, build homes, build neighborhoods, and you will be accepted through commerce. Build up the community in that manner.
They keep saying the bonnet is supposed to protect your hair. The do-rag is supposed to protect your hair. It protects your hair while you're sleeping. That is what it's for, to protect your hair when you're sleeping. Saying it like it's supposed to protect your hair when you're outside. That was never. Oh my goodness. In fact, if you wear it, if you wear those bonnets and do-rags too much,
FYI, as someone who understands here,
It
it will eat out your edges. It will eat out your hair, and you start losing hair if you wear it 24/7. So they keep saying it like you're supposed to wear it, and they sound ignorant.
Modern version of that argument brings data. Instead of working on changing the system, why is the school focused on do-rags? Tuskegee's own 6-year graduation rate sits around 57%. How does banning a bonnet move that number? And that's a fair question. My answer is the dress code didn't come alone. It came with mandatory internships, certifications, and attendance tracking, all aimed at that exact outcome. But that's the tension, right? Wanting the job, because we got bills, and wanting the new system. That is the struggle every Black person faces every day, finding liberation from a system we're still forced to live inside of while still wanting to change the system. And I don't think either choice is wrong, and we all try to manage it. This exact tension is nothing new for us either. In 2001, Hampton's Business School banned dreadlocks and cornrows for MBA students, defended as necessary for the job. People were furious because locks are literally how our hair can grow. Years later, you see locks in boardrooms everywhere because people pushed back. Washington and Du Bois clashed for decades, and neither was wrong. Two roads, same destination. So I believe families need to ask themselves which education they actually want. If you want to master the system as it stands, Tuskegee is doing exactly what it was built to do. If your vision of freedom means rejecting that game entirely, that's just as valid. But Tuskegee may not be the right school for you.
So Tuskegee University updates their dress code and they said no do-rags and no bonnets. And honestly, I can say, great job, administrators, great job, board, great job, council, great job to everyone that came together and realized that this is a problem. Now, if you don't know, Tuskegee University is a historically Black university. So I know for them to implement this, do-rags, pajamas, slippers, all of that, because for a historically Black college to say, hey, you know what? There's no bonnets or do-rags at all. So now you have people saying like, oh, we don't have to act like these white universities, whatever. What do you mean act like these white universities? And we don't have to, act like them. It's not about that. It's about simply presenting yourself the right way in public. But when do we start setting a standard for these young people that when you get up and you go present yourself to the public, you dress? Because how you are dressed and how you present yourself makes a difference in how people respect you, how people view you, and you can miss opportunities just because you are not dressed properly.
Most of them ain't got businesses. They don't have jobs. Most of them don't actually believe in capitalism. So these aren't the people that you're actually going to school to gain a skill to go and work for. So of course you need to adjust and adapt and understand what it means to be a professional, because you are going to compete. If you just got some common sense and a halfway decent work ethic, you don't even need a super strong work ethic, just a halfway decent work ethic. You will look like a superstar out here in comparison to a lot of your peers.
So now you see what that woman said. That's exactly the opposite of Booker T. That woman said that they need to be able to show up as they are in any space and force
them
this
to
is how you know
you.
it's Marxism,
That's
because it always requires a compulsion of force and force to be expected in these ACEs. This is why they hate just what you said, Wise. This is why they hate merit. This is why they hate competition. They hate anything that differentiates between people. They hate it. And they have been trained in this, which is why these kids cannot accept coming to a school, because they've had 12 years of training to tell them anything you are is okay, anything you do is okay. The home has given them those standards, and the school sits them down for 8 hours and explains to them why anytime a standard is imposed, it's wrong. It's feminist, it's sexist, it's from the patriarchy, it's from the respectability politics, whatever name they're using this week, it's wrong. And then they want to send them to Tuskegee. And what's amazing is Tuskegee is a historically Black school, and they're calling them white supremacists and respectability politics. They honor nothing except the white institutions that keep telling them that they are the elite.
They're teaching you that our blackness is more important than our character. Our blackness is more important than our integrity. It's more important than common sense. It's more important than decency. It's more important than morality. You know, everything must be taking a backseat to our skin color. And that is just pure madness.
I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What are your thoughts on any of this? Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family or buy your brother a coffee. The link's in the description box below. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. And as always, keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you guys next time. Peace.
It is God who arms me with strength. Yeah, I'm battle ready. He trains my hands for battle. My heart stays steady. But thanks be to God, he gives us the victory. Through my Lord Jesus Christ, fear can't live in me. I was down to the dirt, red clay on my shoes, old pain in my shirt, oh so bruised. In the Lord hit my chest, kicked death from my breath, put power in my step.